You said Floyd versus who? You said ESPN said Floyd Mayweather? Let me see this. Breaking news. Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. Man, I got a bunch of text messages from a bunch of people. I got DMs, text messages, Snapchats, Facebook messages, all sorts of messages from people. Mainly my clients asking me, did you hear about Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul? And I'm here to tell you, yeah. So I guess Floyd confirmed it on his Instagram. February 20th, 2021, him and Logan Paul are gonna do an exhibition bout in boxing. Now, I'm pretty sure it's going to be similar to the Roy Jones and Mike Tyson situation in terms of an exhibition bout, in terms of the certain stipulations and rules and regulations that they'll have to follow. Like they were saying Mike Tyson and Roy Jones could knock each other out. I'm pretty sure those same stipulations are going to be put in place. But if you think Floyd's just going to go in there and knock out Logan Paul, you got another thing coming. First of all, Floyd's the greatest defensive fighter of all time. So, I mean, I'm not saying Floyd can't knock out Logan Paul. Floyd would knock out Logan Paul if he wanted to. So for the most part, I'd say it's safe to say that Floyd is a pure pugilist. He's a boxer through and through. I mean, outside of the whole Ortiz situation, I think it's safe to say that most boxers at that elite level maintain a level of honor. Most combat sports athletes at that level maintain a level of honor that is just without question. Now, again, the Ortiz situation is a whole nother deal, but for the most part, Logan Paul is below an amateur. I mean, he's had two quote-unquote professional bouts, but they were amateur bouts. They were against another guy who was an amateur. That Scooby-Doo fool. So from that perspective, Floyd isn't going to go in there and just knock out an amateur. I mean, everything about him would just be despicable if he went in there and just in 2 seconds knocked out an amateur. Like, okay, we'd expect you to be able to do that. But I assume because it is an exhibition bout and they're gonna have those stipulations in play, they'll talk about knocking each other out or whatever if it even gets to that point. But yeah, when they go in there, realistically what's gonna happen is Floyd is going to outbox and essentially toy around and have a field day with Logan Paul like nothing you've ever seen before. The difference between pro and amateur is huge. Huge. And the difference between Floyd Mayweather and an amateur is even huger. So, huger. Huger. That just, say that 10 times, jamais vu. It sounds like it doesn't even exist anymore. Huger. Shit, Floyd's not just gonna go in there and just knock this kid out. He's not just gonna go in there and knock this fool out cold clock. Like, he's gonna go in there, box this fool's face off, and it'll be the end of that. It'll be nothing compared to the Conor versus Floyd. I mean, the Conor versus Floyd, there was at least a dab of competitive edge, let's say, with Conor getting in there. Like, Conor's just a professional fighter. He did boxing, I think, initially before he got into MMA. I'm not sure. But Conor has developed a level of proprioceptive genius when it comes to boxing in general that he is a million times more prepared than, let's say, a Logan Paul when it comes to boxing. So Floyd's not just gonna go in there and knock this fool out, but he will have a field day with him the same way people thought he would have a field day with Conor McGregor. Simple as that. And for all you fools who think Logan Paul even has a chance of knocking Floyd out, look, if that happens, then that Scooby-Doo fool he fought, that amateur fool he fought, would then technically be considered the GOAT because he beat Logan Paul. But ultimately ask yourself, I mean, who cares? Realistically, what does Logan Paul or Floyd Mayweather have to do with your life directly? I mean, how has Logan Paul or Floyd Mayweather influenced or affected your life directly? Think about that. And that goes with, let's say, the Kardashians. That goes with, you could even say, TV shows. That goes with a lot of external stimuli that just in modern times we are overwhelmed and overflowed with. So just be weary of the external stimuli that you're allowing your mind to invest its effort and energy towards. And there's nothing wrong with that useless external stimuli. There's nothing wrong with decompressing and, let's say, watching the Kardashians, or decompressing and, let's say, watching Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, or decompressing and watching Jersey Shore. Or I think ultimately if you can truly channel where you're directing your energetic efforts each day, and it's about being able to repeat consistently those same energetic efforts day in and day out by being able to sift through worthy external information and external stimuli and non-worthy external information and external stimuli. So when I saw that notification, I immediately thought, what? These fools are really about to fight? And then I immediately thought, okay, cool, who cares? And it's cool to think about in your off time, that's all well and dandy, but to dwell on that and for those to be the main stake of your conversations that you're having, not only with other people, but with yourself, if you're engrossing yourself in something as useless as an exhibition bout between a former professional fighter and a YouTube star, I think it's time we start reevaluating where we channel our energetic efforts day in and day out through the activities that we're deciding to indulge and engage in. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but here at SST, we're all about matching the external strength with our internal fortitude. Training is presupposed by the idea on how you feel and whether or not you have the motivation to train in the first place. And that's the point here at SST. Once you establish that internal accountability and that internal fortitude, you can then start working on the external accountability and the external fortitude. And that internal fortitude begins first and foremost with the fuel from which our body is operating off of. And I've already made a whole free video that you can find in the link below. While you're going to check out that link, leave a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. It helps with just small YouTube channels like mine really grow. But go into that link description, find that nutrition video, and you can literally change your diet in less than 10 minutes. So go to that video if you haven't seen it, or if you want to change your diet in less than 10 minutes. Because our internal fortitude, like I said, depends on the fuel from which our body is operating off of. And if the fuel from which our body is operating off of is trash processed foods and fast food every day, then in turn, our body's internal fortitude will reciprocate that same fuel from which it's operating from. So we have to evaluate first and foremost the fuel from which our body is optimally performing from, and then we have to evaluate a consistent plan in maintaining a discipline for an extended period of time. So check out that video, that 10-minute video on how to change your diet. Once you've taken care of the internal accountability and internal fortitude, then we can worry about transitioning to the external accountability and the external fortitude. That's where the actual SST self-sustained training comes in, where you can start implementing professionally heated guidance from professional sources into your everyday life, so you're doing exactly what you need to do in a gym that a personal trainer would be offering you in a gym without needing that personal trainer, because there's nobody to better train you than you. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that whole situation. Ultimately, I don't really care. I'll probably end up watching it. If not, I'll watch the highlights. Should be interesting to say the least. That's essentially that. Floyd's gonna go in there, box this dude's face off if they actually fight. Logan will forever have content for the rest of his life talking about I fought the greatest fighter of all time in an actual boxing match. So it's a win-win on both sides. Yay be to all. Glad that they're doing some things that people are going to pay money to actually be entertained by. So good for them. I just needed to answer all my clients and all of my friends and all those people that have been messaging me, asking me my opinion on the situation, because yeah, it's an interesting topic to discuss. But we need to be discussing how to optimize our own selves, not worrying about external stimuli that don't affect our lives. Let's worry about stuff that affects our lives, our diet, our nutrition, our self-accountability, both internally and externally. And if you need help with any of that, feel free to reach out. Seriously, I'll leave all my information in the description below. Feel free to leave a comment on any content ideas you have coming up. I've already got you guys' messages on chest workouts, those are coming. The leg workouts, those are coming. We got some savage at-home workouts for you guys coming up soon. New videos every week. If you like the content, subscribe. Also leave a like on all these videos and push that notification. It really helps with small channels like mine with the YouTube algorithm and all that sort of junk. I'm not an expert on SEOs and all that, but I just know it takes a second and it really helps me out. And if not, at least go take a look at some of the free information I'm giving out, especially the diet nutrition stuff. That stuff will change your life, and it's a free 10-minute video. New videos every week. We're gonna keep it coming. Yeah, Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather, who knows? It's craziness. SST, stick to it.